Roman Reigns makes a bold claim about himself and takes a shot at the Slammy Awards. Daniel Bryan is ready to be a part-time wrestler and a full-time dad. And Ronda Rousey reveals the hardest part of being a WWE superstar. Hello everyone, Jose G here, bringing you today's top stories in today's SK Wrestling News Roundup. Roman Reigns makes a bold statement claim about himself and takes a shot at the Slammy Awards. Universal Champion Roman Reigns has been on a roll ever since making his return to WWE at SummerSlam 2020. Arguably the biggest and most popular WWE superstar on the roster right now, Roman Reigns' work as a heel has been highly praised by fans and critiques. Earlier this week, WWE held their Slammy Awards for 2020. Surprisingly, Roman Reigns did not win any awards, even after being nominated for several categories. Replying to a fan's tweet about why he did not win any Slammys, Roman takes a shot at the awards, calling them participation awards. The Tribal Chief also went on to claim himself to be the most decorated superstar in the business. WWE 2020 Slammy Awards saw Roman Reigns get nominated for Male Superstar of the Year, Overall Superstar of the Year, and Match of the Year twice, Moment of the Year, and Return of the Year. However, he failed to win in any of the categories. It was WWE Champion Drew McIntyre who grabbed the awards for Male Superstar of the Year and Overall Superstar of the Year. From turning heel and aligning himself with Paul Heyman to winning the Universal Championship just weeks after his return, the new version of Roman Reigns hits the perfect sweet spot with the fans. His recent rivalries against Jey Uso and Kevin Owens have been some of the best ones in recent WWE memory. Daniel Bryan says he's ready to be a part-time wrestler and a full-time dad. Over the summer, Daniel Bryan and Brie welcomed their second child into the world. Because of this, we saw Bryan take a reduced role on WWE television throughout 2020. But if Bryan's latest interview is any indication, this might become the norm for the rest of his pro wrestling career. Recently, sitting down with BT Sport, the former WWE champion spoke in depth on how being a dad has changed his way of thinking and his priorities going forward. Bryan was asked about how his body has been holding up since returning to the ring and if he was worried about his longevity in the ring. The WWE superstar didn't seem too concerned about that, as he feels his time as a full-time performer is coming to an end. It is very clear just by listening to Bryan speak that becoming a dad has changed him and his overall outlook on life's priorities going forward. Confirming what he said earlier this year, he once again mentioned that his current WWE contract will soon be expiring, saying, quote, "I'm just kind of switching priorities in my life where for years wrestling has been kind of the key focus and all that kind of stuff. Where like my contract is coming up soon, and not to say that, but we're looking at transitioning me to maybe less than a full-time wrestler. Like my time of being a full-time wrestler are numbered and I'm more going to be like a full-time dad, part-time wrestler. Wrestling is my side job, dadding is my most important job." As long as WWE is accommodating with Bryan's request, there's no reason to think we won't see him wrestling for the company for years to come. But if they insist on more dates than he's comfortable with, there are clearly other options for him out there right now other than WWE. Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher are to battle inside the fight pit at NXT's New Year's Evil. Timothy Thatcher and Tommaso Ciampa have been at each other's throats over the past few weeks. After another showdown on this week's NXT, Ciampa challenged Thatcher to another match inside the fight pit. The match was confirmed later in the night and is set to take place at NXT New Year's Evil. The first fight pit match occurred early in 2020 and was Matt Riddle's final match as the member of NXT roster. Thatcher was victorious and Riddle would debut on SmackDown shortly after losing in the fight pit. The match was made official for New Year's Evil during the main event contest between Adam Cole and the Velveteen Dream. If this clash is anything like the first showdown in the fight pit, then the NXT universe is in for another treat. New Year's Evil is on January 6th and is shaping to be a can't-miss episode. Kevin Owens on why NXT should be part of the WWE Draft. In a recent interview with Ryan Droste from comicbook.com, Kevin Owens shared his thoughts on whether NXT should be included in future WWE drafts, saying, quote, "They were able to draft people from NXT, but you never saw Raw or SmackDown superstars moved into the draft to NXT. I think that should be the case. I think we should be able to take from NXT, and NXT should be able to take from Raw and SmackDown, because I think the level of competition is it's extraordinary over there. I don't see why we wouldn't be able to do that," end quote. Ronda Rousey reveals the hardest part of being a WWE superstar. The last time the WWE Universe saw Ronda Rousey was back in WrestleMania 35, where she took her first pinfall loss to Becky Lynch. The triple threat match, which also involved Charlotte Flair, was to crown the first ever unified Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion. Ever since she took the hiatus from the company, the WWE Universe has been speculating on when we will see Rousey's eventual return to WWE programming. With WrestleMania season right around the corner, the rumors will no doubt start to bubble up again. With WWE currently set in one location for the foreseeable future, there might not be a better time for Rousey to return to the ring, as she recently revealed to Stephanie Chase of Digital Spy that traveling on the road was her least favorite part of being a WWE superstar. The former Raw Women's Champion explained that while she loved competing in the ring, the traveling between shows wasn't something she enjoyed at all, saying, quote, "I love wrestling, but I think it was maybe Sarah Rowe who told me this. She wrestles for free, but they pay for her travel. The hardest part, I think, was just not being able to lay down horizontally, taking a bunch of hard bumps, your back hurts, and you just want to lay down. All I wanted to do between shows is lay down with my legs up, and traveling, you're just sitting upright all the time, and my back would kill me. So the actual act of traveling, I do not miss at all. It was the absolute worst." As you can imagine, someone who was involved in MMA as long as Rousey would certainly suffer some long-term injuries, and the injury to her lower back made traveling with the WWE all the more difficult. Thanks for watching today's SK Wrestling News Roundup. For more news stories, follow us on all of our social media. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Download the Sportskeeda app for the most up-to-date stories in the world of wrestling.